Have you ever talked to your dog as if it understood every single word? You're still hungry. Come here, good boy. And then he tilts his head, perks up his ears, and stares at you as if he really does understand what you're saying. In that very moment, a big question arises. What does your dog actually think when it hears your voice? Science has an answer that may surprise you, because your dog doesn't just hear words, it hears something much deeper. And what you'll discover today might forever change the way you talk to your dog. To him, your voice is everything. So let's begin with the first question. What does your dog really hear when you speak to him? Picture this. You walk through the door after a long day, drop your keys on the table, and without hesitation you speak to your dog as though he were another family member. How was your day? Did you miss me? He tilts his head, perks his ears, and looks right at you, as if he's decoding every word. But here lies the surprising truth: your dog is not sitting there like a tiny linguist breaking down syllables or memorizing vocabulary. What he perceives is far more profound. Your voice to him is not a dictionary, it is a river. He does not count the drops of water as they flow past. He feels the current, the strength, the calm or the turbulence of that stream. In the same way, your dog listens not for individual words, but for the melody beneath them, the rise and fall of your tone, the rhythm of your sentences, the emotional energy you carry inside each phrase. Think of the last time you said, "Come here," in a gentle, warm tone. That sweetness builds trust, an invisible bridge between you and him. Now contrast it with the same phrase spoken coldly, clipped, or distracted. To us, it may still be the same command, but to him it becomes hollow, a sound stripped of comfort. From the very first day you spoke to him, your dog began building a map, your voice as a doorway, a key that unlocks his sense of safety. Science confirms this intuition. In 2016, Hungarian researchers published a groundbreaking study in Science, showing that dogs process human voices in a way remarkably similar to us. The left side of their brain works to catch certain words, while the right side is tuned to intonation and emotion. But here's the twist: they value tone over vocabulary. When you say "good boy" with joy, his brain lights up in areas linked to reward and happiness. Say it flatly without warmth, and the magic disappears. This is why your dog seems to read your mood more than your words. He isn't deciphering a secret code, he's absorbing the emotional language beneath it. And that leads us to the next mystery. If words themselves don't matter as much, then why does your dog leap with joy the moment he hears "walk" or "cookie number 2"? Why do dogs recognize certain words? Perhaps you've seen it before. You casually say the word "walk," and instantly your dog bolts toward the door, tail wagging in a frenzy that no force on earth could stop. Or you whisper "cookie" under your breath, and suddenly he appears in front of you, eyes wide, as if he had been waiting his whole life for that exact moment. How can this be if we already know dogs do not understand language in the same way humans do? The answer lies in something ancient and powerful: associative learning. Words to your dog are not abstract symbols. They are keys that unlock memories soaked in emotion. When he hears "walk," he does not imagine letters or grammar. He feels the rush of air on his face, the scent of grass, the joy of movement. The word itself is stitched into his nervous system like a trigger that awakens an entire memory of experiences. One of the most famous examples comes from a border collie named Rico, studied by researchers at Leipzig University. Rico could identify over 200 words, not by translating them into meanings the way we do, but by weaving each sound into a tapestry of lived experience. Ball meant not rubber or color, but laughter, chasing tumbling joy. Sit meant calmness, attention, and the reward that followed. Each word became a tiny portal into the life he shared with his human. And so it is with your dog. When you say home, he does not picture four walls and a roof. He recalls the warmth of your presence, the feeling of safety after each walk. When you call his name, he does not hear a simple label. He hears all the times you whispered it with affection, all the moments you cradled him or shielded him. This is why your words are not just sounds, they are threads in a living fabric of memory. Each repetition is a stitch, and together you are weaving a shared history that only deepens with time. But if words can hold such weight through association, there remains another mystery. How does the tone of your voice, the way you breathe those words into life, shape your dog's body posture and very energy? Number 3. How does your tone of voice shape your dog's posture and energy? Long before words ever existed, wolves, the ancestors of your dog, communicated through subtle signals. A low growl, a stiffened spine, the flick of an ear. That ancient vocabulary is still alive in your dog, etched into his instincts, like fossils in stone. And so when you speak to him today, he does not simply hear your voice. He reads the entire orchestra of your body, your shoulders, your breathing, the tension in your hands. Imagine this. You sigh deeply after a hard day. To you, it may feel like nothing more than fatigue slipping out with your breath. But to your dog, that sigh is a message, a calming note, a quiet reassurance that the storm has passed. Now think of the hurried rhythm of your footsteps across the floor. To him, it may sound like an alarm bell, a sign that something urgent or unsettling is stirring in your world. Even the lightness of your laughter can transform his day into a safe haven, as though your joy paints the room in colors only he can see. Science supports what every dog owner has quietly suspected. Hungarian researchers using brain imaging discovered that dogs respond not just to the sounds of our voices, but to the emotions hidden within them. That means your dog doesn't wait for words to carry meaning, he feels the meaning even before the syllables fully form. A raised tone carries excitement or warning. A soft murmur carries peace. To him, your body and your voice are one continuous language. And so when you lean toward him, your shoulders relaxed, your tone gentle, his posture melts, his energy softens. But when your words ride on a current of anger or anxiety, even if not directed at him, he feels it like a sudden storm rolling into his sky. His ears pull back, his muscles tighten, his body prepares for uncertainty. This silent exchange is more than instinct. It is a dance, a duet across species. Your dog is always reading the weather of your voice, predicting whether the day will shine with sunlight or darken with thunder. Which leads us to an even deeper question. If your dog can sense so much in tone and posture, can he also detect the emotions you never say out loud? Number 4. How do dogs detect the things you never say? There are days when you come home carrying a weight you try to hide. You smile so no one worries. You speak lightly so no one asks questions, but your dog already knows. He sees it in the way your shoulders sink, in the uneven rhythm of your breath, in the slight heaviness of your steps. Before you even realize how tired you look, he has already read the truth. Dogs are masters at perceiving what we conceal, and sometimes their perception goes beyond sight and sound. In 2022, researchers at Queen's University Belfast discovered that dogs could detect human stress simply by sniffing breath and sweat. When we are anxious, our bodies release cortisol, a stress hormone that subtly alters our scent. To us, it is invisible, impossible to mask. To them, it is as obvious as a flare in the night sky. And so, when you return from a draining day, your dog doesn't just hear your words. He inhales the chemistry of your emotions. He knows when your laugh is forced, when your voice trembles even slightly, when your body radiates unease. That is why, in the quiet moments when you collapse onto the couch and think you've hidden everything, he curls against your leg, lays his head gently on your knee, or simply breathes alongside you. His presence is his answer, "I know, and I am here." This ability isn't limited to sorrow. Dogs also sense joy, calm, and peace. The softness of your laughter, the brightness in your eyes, even the subtle shift in your scent when you're content, all these are signals that tell him the world is safe. And when he feels that safety in you, he settles too, his chest rising and falling in rhythm with yours, his body becoming a mirror of your inner calm. It is extraordinary, isn't it? While you struggle to hide what you feel from friends, colleagues, or even family, your dog quietly uncovers the truth without judgment. And the most powerful part is this: he responds not with words, but with presence. But presence itself has a language. So what do your dog's silent gestures truly mean? Number 5. What do a dog's silent reactions really mean? Silence is never empty when it comes to your dog. Every quiet gesture, every small movement carries meaning, though we often rush past it. Think of the moment he rests his head on your lap. To you, it may seem like a casual habit. To him, it is a message written in touch, "I feel safe with you." Or when he places his paw gently on your arm, it is not random. It is his way of answering your presence, of weaving himself into your moment. Even the way he gazes at you, blinking slowly, is a silent sentence that reads, "I trust you. I am at peace beside you." Science has uncovered the depth of this wordless dialogue. In 2015, a study published in Science revealed that when dogs and their owners gaze into each other's eyes, both release oxytocin, the so-called love hormone, the very same chemical that bonds mothers with their children. That quiet exchange of looks is not just affection. It is biology singing in harmony, a duet of trust played across two species. But beyond the science, there is something achingly human about these silent conversations. Your dog does not speak in sentences or explanations. Instead, he leans against you when you're weary, nudges you when laughter has gone missing, curls at your feet when sleep won't come. Each small gesture is a word in a language without grammar, one that bypasses the brain and goes straight to the heart. The more you notice, the more you realize there is always a dialogue unfolding. Every blink, every lean, every sigh is a piece of a conversation you have been having all along, even if you didn't realize it. And when you respond by stroking his fur, by whispering his name, by simply being still with him, you close the loop, completing the circle of presence. But gestures are only part of the story. Dogs do not just react with silence, they speak with their entire bodies. So what happens when you begin to truly read the language written in every ear flick, every tail wave, every breath? Number 6. What does a dog's body language reveal for dogs? The body itself is a living dictionary. Every flick of an ear, every stretch of the spine, every shift in breath is a word in the silent language they have spoken for thousands of years. To us, it may look ordinary, but to them, it is the truest way of speaking. A slow wag of the tail is not always wild excitement. Sometimes it is calm confidence, like a quiet nod from an old friend. A deep sigh as he settles at your side is not merely fatigue. It is relief, the kind of exhale that says, "Here with you, I am safe." Scientists, too, have turned their attention to these subtleties. In 2018, a study in the Journal of Veterinary Behavior confirmed that small gestures, posture, breathing, the way a dog lies down, carry emotional weight. They are not random motions, but carefully tuned signals, the emotional handwriting of your companion. And if you pay attention, you will find he is always speaking even when no sound escapes his throat. Think of the times your dog pressed his body closer, when you fell into silence or tilted his head at the exact moment your voice broke. These are not coincidences. They are pages in a book only he knows how to read and write. His body bends toward you to remind you that you are not alone, even when words fail. The beauty is that these daily gestures are never empty. They are threads in a continuous conversation, one that binds his heartbeat to yours. The language of the body has no punctuation, no pauses, only a flow of signals that echo what he feels and what he senses in you. If you learn to watch more carefully, you will see that your dog is always telling you something, always answering you with his body. And yet, there is a deeper shift waiting beyond observation. Because the relationship transforms the moment you decide not only to be heard, but to truly listen back. What happens when you choose to tune yourself to his unspoken music? Number 7. What happens when you decide to listen back to your dog? Up until now, the story has seemed one-sided. We talk, we command, we soothe, and our dogs receive. But there is a moment that changes everything, the moment you decide not only to speak, but to listen. True connection begins when communication stops being a monologue and becomes a duet. Psychologists call this attunement, the ability to sense and respond to another being's emotions in real time. In 2020, a study in animal cognition showed that people who learned to notice subtle canine cues, an averted gaze, a shift in posture, even a single sigh, developed bonds that were deeper and more secure. To listen to a dog is not to hear words, but to catch whispers in the fabric of silence. Picture your dog lying next to you, exhaling slowly, as if releasing the weight of the day. If you choose to slow your own breathing, to let your chest rise and fall with his rhythm, suddenly you are no longer just two bodies. In the same room, you are partners in the same song. When his body presses gently against your hand, and you respond with a tender stroke, when his eyes lock on yours, and you do not look away, you are answering him in his own language. I see you, I feel you, I understand you. This is when the relationship transcends roles. You are no longer merely the caretaker, the feeder, the one who gives orders. You become a companion who listens, who responds on the same level of presence. And the most extraordinary part is this: in listening to him, you discover something about yourself. The act of attunement heals not only your dog's heart, but yours, because you realize that genuine communication does not demand words, it demands presence. But listening also reveals another layer of mystery. Because if dogs live in such a shared rhythm with us, then how do they remember those moments? How do they carry our laughter, our sighs, our whispers, long after the moment has passed? Number 8. How does a dog's emotional memory work? Dogs do not keep diaries. They do not sit by the window recalling yesterday the way we do, nor do they string together events on a calendar of past and future. Yet in place of written history, they hold something far more intimate: emotional memory. Every shared moment becomes an imprint, not of facts, but of feelings. When you pick up your keys after work, your dog doesn't simply recognize the jingle of metal. He remembers the hundreds of times that sound meant reunion, safety, and joy. When he hears your laughter, it is not just a pleasant noise, it is a doorway into all the evenings filled with play, affection, and the warmth of your touch. Even the rhythm of your footsteps carries the weight of history, reminding him of the countless times those steps returned to him after absence. In 2016, researchers writing in Current Biology confirmed that dogs possess what scientists call episodic-like memory. They can remember specific experiences tied to emotions, not just routines. This means that when your dog hears the word home, he doesn't picture bricks and walls. He relives the calm of lying by your side, the comfort of belonging. And it goes deeper. Dogs remember not only joy, but also silence. The day your voice cracked with sadness, the evening when the air felt heavy with unspoken worry, those too are etched into his heart. But unlike humans, he does not replay them to judge or to dwell. Instead, he stores them as a map, a guide, that tells him how to love you better the next time. To your dog, you are not just the present moment. You are the sum of all the moments you have ever shared, woven into him like threads in a living quilt. And it is this quilt of memory that prepares the ground for something even greater. Something that has defined dogs for centuries, their unshakable loyalty. Number 9. Why does a dog's loyalty transcend time? When we speak of dogs, one word rises above all others: loyalty. But loyalty feels too small a word, as if it cannot carry the weight of what truly binds a dog to its human. Loyalty is a contract. What your dog offers is devotion woven into his very being. Science has shown this bond is not blind instinct. In 2019, researchers at Kyoto University discovered that dogs remember how they are treated. They distinguish between those who honor their trust and those who betray it. Their loyalty, then, is not automatic. It is a choice made anew each day, forged in the fires of memory and emotion. Think of Hachiko, the dog in Japan, who waited at a train station for nearly 10 years after his owner had died. His body a statue of devotion against the passing of seasons. He was not following routine. He was holding vigil for the very person who had become the architecture of his world. To leave would have been to abandon the ground beneath his paws. And closer to home, think of your own dog. He follows you from room to room, not because he is commanded, but because you are his anchor. When you are ill, he curls beside you. When you are weary, he rests his chin on your knee. When you move, he moves not out of habit, but because in his universe you are the sun around which everything else revolves. This devotion often feels otherworldly, almost mystical. It is as though your dog has absorbed fragments of your soul and carries them inside himself. Many owners say that when a beloved dog passes, it feels as though a part of themselves has gone with him, and perhaps that is true for over a lifetime. He has gathered every piece of you and made it the center of his loyalty. But loyalty is not the end of the story. Because beyond devotion lies something even more profound. Dogs do not just share our present, they become guardians of our history. Which brings us to the final mystery. Number 10. How do dogs become the guardians of our history? A dog does not simply walk beside us in the present. He carries the weight of our past. Every laugh, every tear, every silence becomes part of an archive he keeps, not in books or photographs, but in his very being. He is in truth a living library of your emotional life. In 2021, researchers publishing in scientific reports revealed that dogs can recall emotional events tied to their owners even after long stretches of time. They don't just recognize your face or your voice, they respond to echoes of moments they have lived with you as though your history is etched into their own nervous system. Think of the times your dog waits at the door. He is not reacting to the sound of your steps today alone. He is remembering the hundreds of times those footsteps carried safety, companionship, and love back to him. When he curls into the empty space on your chair, it is not habit. It is recollection, a way of keeping alive the presence that once filled that place. And this is why losing a dog feels like losing a witness. They are the only ones who have heard your voice when no one else was listening, who have memorized the rhythm of your days, who have stored the secrets you never spoke aloud. They become the guardians of the private music of your life, carrying it until their final breath. But here is the most profound truth: their loyalty does not end when they leave. Because throughout their lives they have gathered fragments of you, your laughter, your sadness, your ordinary days, and woven them into a tapestry that endures even after they are gone. They have transformed you into part of their legacy, and in doing so, they have ensured that you too live on inside them. And so, when you look into your dog's eyes, remember this: he is not only sharing the moment with you, he is keeping your history, your essence, your story alive. That is why, to him, you are not just his world, you are his forever. When you speak to your dog, it is never just sound carried on air. To him, your voice is sunlight breaking through clouds, or thunder rolling across the horizon. Every word, every sigh, every laugh becomes part of the landscape of his world. Over the years, he collects these pieces of you, your warmth, your sorrow, your laughter, and holds them like treasures, keeping them safe, as though guarding the very history of who you are. Perhaps that is why the bond feels so unshakable, why when you look into his eyes, you see not just an animal, but a witness, a confidant, a living echo of every moment you've shared. Your dog is more than a companion. He is the keeper of your story, the guardian of your heart. So the next time you speak to him, remember it is not only words he hears, it is you. And in the silence of his gaze, in the stillness of his presence, he is saying back, "I am here. I always will be." If this touched you, if you've ever seen your own dog reflected in these words, then let's keep walking this path together. Subscribe to the channel, share your own story in the comments, and join a community of people who know that our dogs are not just pets, they are family memory and love itself made flesh. Because every story matters, and yours might just be the one that helps another heart heal.